They say the most dangerous person in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove they're dangerous. Think about that for a moment. Power isn't always about control, money, or muscle. Sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who look powerless from the outside, yet cannot be moved inside. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, yet he acted as though he was just another citizen. And Epictetus? He was born a slave, but no one could enslave his mind. That's the kind of power we're talking about today. Before we begin, remember, this channel is all about learning to master yourself, not the world. So if you want more timeless Stoic wisdom, hit that like button and subscribe. It's free, and unlike most things in life, it actually makes you richer. Number 1, understand the source of real power. Most people think power comes from titles, positions, or possessions. But that's borrowed power. It's on loan from the outside world, and it can be taken away as quickly as it was given. If your sense of control depends on what you own, who you know, or what people say about you, you've already given your strength away. The Stoics believe the only true power is mastery over your own mind. If your mood rises and falls with every insult or compliment, you're being led by a leash. But when you can stand unshaken, whether praised or blamed, you've tapped into a strength no one can take. Here's the thing. Even a king can be powerless if he's ruled by his desires. And even a prisoner can be powerful if he rules his own mind. That's why Epictetus, though chained, could still say, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has power over my will." So ask yourself, am I controlling my mind, or is my mind controlling me? Because if it's the latter, you're not powerless. You're just letting your power leak out like a bucket with holes. Number 2, control what you can, ignore the rest. One of the fastest ways to feel powerless is to obsess over things outside your control. Politics, gossip, other people's opinions. These are storms you can't stop. But you can decide whether you'll stand outside, holding an umbrella made of tissue paper. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you free up energy to master what's within your reach. Your thoughts, your words, your actions. That's where your true power lives. And the more you focus on this, the less other people's chaos can disturb you. Think of it like a chess game. You can't move your opponent's pieces for them. And if you try, they'll just smack your hand. But you can play your own pieces with skill and patience. Even if you're losing on the board, you can keep your composure, play the long game, and force respect. The truth is, people often look powerless, not because they have no options, but because they're wasting them on the wrong battles. If you're fighting the wind, you'll lose. If you set your sails, you'll move forward. Number 3, choose your response like a king. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. That's where the power is hidden. Life will throw insults, setbacks, and disappointments your way. The powerless react immediately, letting emotions drag them wherever they want. The powerful pause, think, and choose their next move like a king. This is why emotional control is a superpower. If someone shouts at you and you shout back without thinking, they've taken the wheel of your mind. But if you can remain calm, maybe even smile, you've shown them you can't be steered. That's not weakness. That's dominance without noise. A Stoic doesn't deny their feelings. They just don't let feelings rule the kingdom. You can be angry and still act with wisdom. You can be hurt and still choose dignity over revenge. You can lose the argument and still win your self-respect. Think about it. If people can't predict how you'll react, they can't control you. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than a calm, unpredictable opponent. Number 4, build inner wealth, not outer illusions. When everything is taken from you, what's left? For most, the answer is nothing, because they built their entire worth on external things. But the Stoic builds wealth inside. Principles, wisdom, courage, self-discipline. So even if stripped of all else, they remain rich. Money can be stolen. Looks can fade. Status can vanish overnight. But no one can take away the patience you've cultivated, the self-control you've mastered, or the wisdom you've earned through hardship. Those are your unbreakable treasures. If you make your happiness dependent on things outside yourself, you're basically giving the world a remote control to your emotions. And trust me, the world will not hesitate to press every wrong button just to watch you squirm. True power is walking into any situation, broke, unknown, underestimated, and still carrying yourself like someone who knows they're untouchable where it matters most. That confidence isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. Number 5, turn powerlessness into an advantage. Here's the funny thing. When people think you're powerless, they underestimate you. And being underestimated is one of the greatest advantages you can have. The Stoics knew that humility often hides great strength. If you walk into a room pretending to be the smartest, strongest person there, you'll have to prove it constantly. But if you walk in quietly, letting others think you're nothing special, you gain the element of surprise. You see more, you learn more, and you strike when it matters. Sometimes the greatest form of power is patience. You bide your time, you study your situation, and you act only when the right moment arrives. It's not about doing nothing. It's about not wasting your moves. Remember, the ocean doesn't rush to crush every ship it sees. It waits, calm and vast, until the storm is ready. Your power works the same way. You may seem still, but still waters can drown anything. Number 6, detach your ego from outcomes. One of the biggest traps that makes people feel powerless is attaching their self-worth to outcomes they can't fully control. If you define your value by whether you win the deal, get the promotion, or hear yes from someone, you're putting your confidence in someone else's pocket. And trust me, people don't always treat what's in their pocket kindly. The Stoics teach us to focus on our efforts, not the results. You can't force the world to bend to your will, but you can make sure your actions are guided by integrity, discipline, and reason. That way, even if the result isn't what you hoped for, you walk away knowing you acted at your highest level. When you detach your ego from outcomes, you stop being desperate. And nothing scares people more than someone who doesn't need to win to feel whole. They can't bribe you, they can't threaten you, and they can't manipulate you, because your self-respect is already locked in place. Here's a little Stoic secret. If you can genuinely say, "I'll be fine whether I win or lose," you've already won in the only game that matters. Number 7, master the art of silence. In moments where you feel powerless, silence can be your greatest weapon. The loudest person in the room is often the most insecure, trying to fill the air with noise to hide their weakness. The one who remains calm and quiet, they make everyone wonder what they know that no one else does. Silence gives you control over information. It forces others to reveal more than they intend, while you reveal nothing. Think of it as the mental equivalent of having a poker face. People can't play against you if they can't read you. The Stoics valued measured speech because they understood that words, once spoken, can't be taken back. If someone is trying to provoke you, silence can be the most infuriating response. Not because you're avoiding the conflict, but because you're showing them they're not worth your energy. And let's be honest, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is absolutely nothing. Especially when you're tempted to say something that would make you regret it faster than you can say, "I shouldn't have sent that text." Number 8, use adversity as training. When life knocks you down, most people either stay there or get up angry. The Stoic sees it differently. Every difficulty is training for greater strength. It's like going to the gym, except instead of dumbbells, life throws financial problems, heartbreaks, and flat tires at you. The powerless see adversity as punishment. The powerful see it as preparation. If you can endure small hardships without falling apart, you build the muscle to face bigger ones. And over time, the things that used to break you won't even make you flinch. Epictetus didn't resent his hardships. He thanked them for shaping his character. Because while everyone else was hoping for an easy life, he was building the skill to handle a hard one. That's the difference between being fragile and being anti-fragile. So, the next time life hands you a problem, try this. Instead of asking why me, ask what's this preparing me for? That mindset alone turns powerlessness into power training. Number 9, redefine victory. If your definition of winning is everything goes my way, you'll lose most of your life. The Stoics redefine victory as acting with virtue no matter the outcome. This means you can win even in situations where others think you've lost. Say you argue with someone, and instead of destroying them with a perfect comeback, you walk away calmly. To them, maybe you back down, but to you, you preserve your peace, kept your dignity, and didn't waste your afternoon trying to win the approval of someone who wasn't going to give it anyway. That's a win. When you shift your definition of victory from "I got what I wanted" to "I stayed true to my principles," you'll notice something. You start winning a lot more. And these wins can't be taken from you because they're rooted in who you are, not what you get. If you only measure success by outcomes, you're gambling with forces you can't control. But if you measure it by character, the game becomes impossible to lose. Number 10, make peace with the worst-case scenario. Here's a counterintuitive Stoic trick. When you feel powerless, imagine the worst that could happen and accept it. It sounds dark, but it frees you from fear. Fear is what makes people feel trapped, not the actual situation itself. Once you've accepted the worst, you can focus on what you can do without being paralyzed by anxiety. It's like walking into a boxing match already knowing you might get hit. The shock is gone, and you can focus on throwing your own punches. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself daily that he could lose possessions, loved ones, or even his life, and still remain virtuous. This didn't make him cold, it made him fearless. Because when you've made peace with loss, no one can threaten you with it. It's strange, but accepting the worst often puts you in the best position to avoid it. Because now you can act with clarity, not desperation. And desperation, as history shows, is how people hand over their power without even realizing it. Power isn't about control over others. It's about control over yourself. If you can remain calm in chaos, steady in storms, and unshaken when everything falls apart, you've mastered the highest form of power there is. So, remain powerful even when you're powerless, because in truth, you're never powerless unless you hand your power away. And don't worry, no one will ever see it coming until it's too late for them to stop you.